All right, broadcasting now. Lower volume down. Well, it's been a while. Obviously, if you've had the grace of watching any of my broadcasts in the past, you know it's been a long time since I've been online. I think going back to November last year, my family was about to go on vacation, so I did a broadcast back I think in November. We went on vacation. We went to Dallas for Thanksgiving. Had a pretty good time. Came back, uh, got sick. We were getting sick like everybody else was at the time with something. We all got tested. We were being tested negative for COVID, but then after multiple tests, we were never being found positive for COVID or anything like that. So we just thought it was a cold. It had really weird symptoms. Then it took a while to get over. So I never felt like getting online. Then around Christmas time, everyone was finding out it was probably this Omicron thing that they weren't testing for properly. So yeah, might have been that. And then around Christmas time, I had we had guests over and stuff like that. And before you knew it, it was a new year. Totally intended to get online for the new year, and was making plans to do that, and also planning for a new class I'm teaching. I'm teaching a new class right now. It's called Research Methods in Design. But then I started, and this was actually happening, throughout all this time period. I started to have some weird moments where I don't maybe if you're familiar with it, you know what I'm talking about. If you've gone through it before, where I would be doing something that I like doing, and it happened. I know it happened one time during the Christmas break. And I've got a light that's kind of twitching out on me behind me, but it happened once during the Christmas break, and um, and it was I was outside like doing something that I enjoyed doing, and it's like all of a sudden I had just excuse me while I fix this light behind me. For some reason it starts flickering. I started having like these really like bad racing thoughts, and it wasn't just like thoughts. It was also like everything around me was really loud. Like if the air conditioner was on, it was like really like the humming sound was really loud. If someone was cutting the grass outside, like that sound was amplified. Any little noise that was going on was louder than it was in reality. Any thought I was having was louder than it was in reality. And then and it was really like kind of unusual and a little scary. Like I I would check my heart rate with my. I have like this smartwatch. A lot of people have them now. So I've had one for a little while now. I think for over a year. And so I just took my watch, I took my heart rate, and it was normal. Like, and so I knew I wasn't having like a heart attack or something. But it definitely felt like something weird was happening, where I wasn't able to focus on anything other than all these racing thoughts that were going on in my head. And I noticed that these, I call them events, were happening while I was doing things that I really enjoyed. And so they were starting to increase in frequency. I remember the first time I had one was like around the beginning of the pandemic. I was working on it outside on the plant, on the replanting something that it wasn't growing well, and so I was digging it out of the ground. I was like talking to them, a little bit of a nerd that knows my plants. I talk to them, I tell them, hey, you're not doing so well, and I tell them the plant, like, I need to take you out of the soil. Like, if the soil you're in isn't good, you don't have good enough roots. And so I was like just talking to it, like if it's, it can understand me. And I sort of have this feeling, and then it didn't happen again for a while. But then towards the end of last year, and then all throughout the beginning of this year, it really started to pick up, and to the point where I was having it at least once a week. And so, um, with my background in training and mental health, what I realized, I started to do some introspection, and what I realized was it wasn't the first time I had these attacks. I had the first time I had this attack was going way back to uh, somewhere in the age of like 8, 9, 10 years old. And I know it was in a specific house that we lived in. We moved around a little bit when we were younger. And so I know it was in a house I lived in from the grades of second grade till the seventh grade. So it was, and I know I was younger when it happened. So it was somewhere in like the third, fourth grade, which, when you know that you do the math, like you're like 8, 9, 10 years old, and that somewhere in that age range, when I first had this same thing happen. I remember I was going to bed when it happened, and I thought of it back then. It was laying in bed, going to sleep, but I thought of it as maybe like a bad dream. And so I got out of bed and I went to go tell my mom, and that's like the first time I found out, what parents do at night. They lock the door, so there's like a whole other, thing that happened there. But then, so then I didn't actually get to tell her what happened. I went back to bed, but then she, realized I walked in on them, and so she eventually came to the room and she asked me like why I came in, and I told her I just was having a bad dream or something. And so that night she prayed for me, and she put a Bible under my, or she read Psalm 91, I think it was, and then she put a Bible under my pillow, and then it went, the thing that I was the feelings and stuff I had went away. And so I remembered like that was the first time that event happened, where I had like the racing thoughts, everything was really loud, really kind of scary. And so when these events happened more recently, I would ask and I couldn't do anything to stop them. I'd try breathing, taking slow breaths, meditating, all the tricks I know in terms of mental health, counseling. Right, I have my degree, got my master's degree. I've been teaching for 10. It's going to be 10 years now in July. So I've been teaching for a good 9.5 years. I know a lot of tricks. Go for exercise, walk, be in nature, do something where you can get your mind on stuff. But what was weird was all of these things were when these things were happening. And I am going to play Elden Ring. I haven't even started yet, so I know that when I hit start, well, let me see. It's probably going to make me do some stuff here, so I'll just getting started on this. I'm not even going to read this stuff. I'm giving away my life here, probably. But when I was having these events happen, I wasn't stressed about anything, really. I was just, uh, um, doing stuff I liked doing. Like I said, I was gardening. I was outside doing some manual labor. I was like digging holes and going to prepare concrete to put up these posts for light, which I enjoy doing because a lot of times I'm sitting at a desk. Like today, I was just reading books, sitting on the couch, and preparing for my class tomorrow. And then I finally got to, so we had to go shopping, whatever, and came home. Then I got to lift some weights, which I like to do because it's something physical. But I like to do physical things. It's fun for me. But whenever I started to have these anxiety attacks, especially the ones that are like once a week, I'd be just sitting down like it's the end of the night. Let me just play some Hitman before I go to bed, or let me watch Ozark, or something on Netflix or whatever. And that's when these attacks would happen. So it wasn't like I was doing something. This is about playing online and being cool. Sounds really not. Be the online player. So before I hit a new game, I don't know. I don't want to get caught up in a story here. But anyway, so like normally, if you have a panic attack or anxiety attack, it is associated with, either you're like in some kind of stressful situation, or you're in a situation that kind of triggers, the anxiety, something familiar, or something that your body feels is familiar to what you've already been through, and so your body recognizes it as some kind of threat to your system, and whether it's a psychological system or physical system or emotional system, or, and so your body reacts in the way it reacts, and so that's different for everybody. A full-blown panic attack can look a lot more intense, more like a heart attack. And for me, it was just like this. Again, like I said, just everything in my mind was just it was on like 1,000%. I couldn't control my thoughts, and I couldn't control my ears, the sounds that were going on in my head. Everything was just getting louder and louder and faster, and it was like some kind of torment. But my heart rate was okay, and I would tell myself that. It's like, you know what, your heart's okay. You're not having a heart attack. You're not dying. I wasn't sweating. I wasn't breathing heavily. I wasn't having any kind of pain anywhere in my body. It was all just in my head, just really just rapid, just impactful thing. And so, and it always happened. But then it happened when I was doing something that when I was doing stuff that I like to do. It had nothing to do with a threat to my system. Like I said before, it happens to other people, right? You go into a situation that can be stressful, like a new job, or just work in general, or going to meet people, going into social settings, I should say, or whatever else. And I know, because I haven't been on in a long time, I'm not going to get a lot of, live people to talk, interact with me. So if you do end up watching this, gracefully, I thank you. Go ahead and leave comments or whatever if you know what I'm talking about. You're familiar with that, but yeah, that was my thing. And so what I realized, what I was going through, was by doing all this reflection and thinking back to when I first had this attack, was I was having what's called a Transcrisis event, and it was rooted in some anxiety. And the Transcrisis event is actually caused by some post-traumatic stress, and it's called Transcrisis because post-traumatic stress, it's a little closer to the event that happened, but when the event happened so long ago, and then it just kind of lingers on for years and years. I'm 38 now. I'm going to be 39. So whatever this event was, it happened about 30 years ago. So it's a little more than PTSD. It's Transcrisis. It just spans such a long time. That's what my anxiety was rooted in. And the only way it would go away for me was if my wife prayed for me. That was my only salvation. Actually, there was one time where my wife wasn't home, and the only way it went away was because I started praying and I asked God to take it away, to stop it, and to save me somehow. And then my only ones that were home were my mom, who was visiting for Christmas, and my daughter. She was home, and they were both inside. I was outside doing that yard work or different construction, whatever, digging holes. And my daughter just happened to come out at that moment when I asked God to save me, to send me a savior. And she just came outside with this big smile on her face, and she's like, "Abba, what are you doing? You're taking so long." Because she was expecting me to come back inside to play with her or something. She didn't think I was doing anything that involved. And the moment she stepped outside was the moment I had asked that prayer, and it was the moment that the attack went away, and it just was like, God. And I told her, you just saved me from something big. And she's like, "What?" It's like, "Just know that you saved me." And she's older than me. She's only 5 at the time, so she just turned 6. But it's just but anyway, I'm going to start the game and get into it. And if I got some time, maybe talk more about Transcrisis and the event that triggered all of this stuff. I don't even know what any of this stuff is. Auto target. Definitely probably towards framing. So since the last time I, oh no, you know what? I think the last time I was on, I did. I mean, I can see it, so I'll leave it on one. I think I did have the LG. I've got the LGC one, so it's got 120 hertz and all that stuff, and so it's pretty cool. I play everything inverted. I don't really know what any of this stuff is. I only know very little about this game, so I'm just excited to try it out. I don't really know much about this style of game, so I may be a complete noob here uh, playing this. Oh my. I feel like I should have watched a guide or something. Professor. Oh, here we go. A wretch. Okay, I'm guessing you don't want to be a wretch. I mean, yeah, I wouldn't want to be dressed that way. Definitely doesn't look like an advantage starting off. Is Confessor anything like a professor? I mean, okay, so you've got level 10, bigger, mind. Uh, kind of like the hooded look. Is that a good way to... Faith is seems high. Um, prisoner. Samurai sounds cool. Endurance is decent. What are the scales out of? Are they out of 20? 15? Profit. Huh. Thank you. Bandit. Hero. I have no idea. Vagabond. I have no idea what I'm supposed to pick here. Warrior. I mean, my just common sense feels like I should just do something balanced. Um, I think I'm liking just a warrior. A level 8 seems kind of low. But everything else seems a little more balanced. With you know, kind of like the idea of being a prophet. I don't know what's up with having the wood around your neck, but then level. And why low intelligence? You're a prophet. You should be smart. What about samurai? That sounds cool too. We got a little art project here on the floor. My rabbit wants to bite it. He's not allowed to do that. Just look at it for a second. Man, honestly, the Confessor looks like the most like double-digit points, except for intelligence and arcane, which I don't even know what that means, and it rhymes with professor. So I'm gonna go with Confessor. Uh, so name. So this is old school. This name I'm gonna choose is old school. I used to have a character. Oh no. Okay. And it's my PSN name also. It's when I had WWE No Mercy way back when. My my wrestling character's name. This rabbit is eating up. This God. Wife spent days spray painting. So my wrestler's name was Soul Reaper, and I love that name. So sticking with it. Body type. What's the difference? It looks like our elbows are in or out, and then biceps are a little stronger. I guess I'll go with A. Age, young. I'll go with young then. Let him live longer, I guess. Origin. Oh, it's just like keepsake. Medallion inlaid with crimson amber increases maximum HP. I feel so old right now. You know, I kind of was thinking this game would be a little bit like God of War. I'll be honest with you. So, I just thought you start playing and then you already have like everybody has like the same character and you play. So I'm learning this like a boiled prawn. What? Whoa, it do need a base. The heck? Alright. I mean, I guess that's the body I'm working towards. Did I just say that? Hold on. Face found among a proud and exclusive. Okay. Oh my goodness. I can't. Can I hear this? Alright, so I didn't know how to do like all this kind of stuff. So I might as well talk about my Transcrisis um, uh, my Transcrisis what's it called? Event here. So I you know I know a lot about counseling. I know a lot about mental health. I know a lot about the age and past and everything else. So I didn't really know where to begin. I knew that 255. I know that. Oh, yeah, okay. I know that. I don't know if this is changing anything. I don't know if this matters. I don't care. I really don't care. I don't need it to look like me. Let me shorten the hair first. Anyway, so what I believe what I because I of what I know with mental health, I knew that the issues I had went back to that age range because that was when I first started having uh, um, what's it called? I'm bald, right? So that's when I first started having those events. That time where I went to my parents' bedroom to tell them that I thought I was having a nightmare or whatever. And so I needed to talk to my mom about it, and that was like the significant thing. So I needed then to start to think about more what was going on at that age, uh, when I was um, at that age range. Like what was it that precipitated that moment? What happened around that time frame that caused me to um, go black. What caused me to have that anxiety feeling, that racing kind of racing thoughts and that kind of thing. What was it that led to that? And um, so I told my wife, like, I need to just sit down and think about it. Now I have my own way of doing that, uh, and some people may not agree with this. A lot of Christians feel certain ways about different things, and like whether or not doing certain things are wrong or right. But one of the ways that I like to be able to get my thoughts out there is to have a cigar. To have a cigar, and that kind of helped me to get my thoughts out, to help them flow. And so what I did, and this was going back 2 weeks ago, it was a Sunday afternoon. I got a cigar, I got a journal, and I started to um, I started to just I started to smoke a little bit, and I started to just write. I started to write about that time and just things that I could remember. And it's based on a therapy called Adlerian therapy, and I may have talked about this before in a previous um, session or not. I don't remember, but Adlerian therapy, Alfred Adler really emphasized the importance of understanding how our earliest childhood memories can set goals for our uh, our entire lives. Okay, and not only can they set, but in my opinion, and not just mine and others, but not only can they set goals for our lives, they can also kind of set um, our understanding for how we're going to, consider subjects like love, I should say, or how we're going to understand relationships and so on and so forth. I kind of, if I had a board or whatever, I would draw a bunch of blocks and call them building blocks, and I would shape them like a wall or like just a building, like the base of a building, and I would start to write different words in them, and we can put into those blocks like words like love or happiness or concepts like what's fun. And so something that I consider to be fun is playing video games, because at that same age was when my dad bought me my first Nintendo, and it was a huge surprise. I remember not even thinking that I was going to get a Nintendo. I had no idea I was going to get a Nintendo. And man, can I get some clothes here? Okay, that's it. And so even today, like, it's something I enjoy doing for fun, is playing video games. Right? It's one of the building blocks, and it was placed there at that age.
The fallen leaves tell a story. The great Elden Ring was shattered. In our home, across the fog, the lands between. Now, between Marika the Eternal is nowhere to be found. And in the night of the Black Knives, Godwyn the Golden was first to perish. Soon, Marika's offspring, demigods all, claimed the shards of the Elden Ring. The mad taint of their newfound strength triggered the shattering. A war from which no lord arose. A war leading to abandonment by the greater will. Oh, rise now, ye tarnished, ye dead who yet live. The call of long-lost grace speaks to us all. Horalu, chieftain of the Badlands, the ever-brilliant Gold Mask, Fear, the deathbed companion, the loathsome Dung-Eater, and Sir Gideon Othmere, the all-knowing. And one other, whom grace would again bless. A tarnished of no renown. Cross the fog to the lands between. To stand before the Elden Ring and become the Elden Lord.
Okay. There's like a ghost, a samurai ghost. Oh, so I am playing with like other people. Crazy looking, right? Off the bat, I'll say this: I'm not a big fan of them creating an opening scene after all the hype of this game, and creating an opening scene where they're explaining the game to you, and it's just like a bunch of drawings instead of actual, like, you know, graphic video or something. What did I just do? I have no idea. Now, if you're watching me play video games, I am not used to like just open world games. And it is my understanding that this is a open world game, so I can, pretty much do whatever I want in here, and I'm just anyway. So like I said, the you have these building blocks in life, and Alfred Adler, he emphasized how we as children we set goals for our lives, and as children, like the kind of goals we set even as adults, like if we, and you've probably heard the phrase like having an inferiority complex, like always feeling inferior to people. If you have that feeling like, man, I'm not as good as other people are and stuff, and treasure chest ahead. Man, he's slow at cutting off. I hope I didn't pick the wrong one. If you ever feel that way, Alfred Adler was the one who came up with that verbiage, or if someone has a superiority complex, that's someone who always feels like they're better than everybody. Touch bloodstain. Wow. He said treasure chest ahead, but where is it? Oh, that one. Oh shoot. Alright, so the graphics look okay. I'm on the LG C1 like I mentioned earlier, so I expect the graphics to look like amazing. But I didn't hear anything about the graphics in this game being, and given the price tag on it, I didn't really expect it to be, optimal for PS5. Anyway, so Adler was the one who said like if someone's got superiority complex or inferiority complex, they probably develop those things as children, and so you just have to kind of like come up with the first few memories, 8 or 7, 8, 9 memories, and your earliest childhood memories, and you probably figure out when exactly you set that as a goal for yourself, like to be superior to other people or to be inferior to others, or to always feel inferior to others, right? And I think the theory works in more than just those couple of ways. We can also put together early childhood memories and see when we developed certain problematic behaviors or even problematic feelings, especially something like a transcrisis anxiety phase or issue or reaction. And so, like I said, I sat down with a cigar, and again, that's just my way to process things. And if other people got a problem with that, I appreciate it, and you can share that with me. I don't have a problem with you doing that. It's not something I do all the time. It's something that helps me think and focus, and it's probably because I have a little bit of adult ADHD that I don't take medication for. So I started to write down memories from that house, and it's stuff that I've always been aware of, but not stuff that I really think about a lot. And as I started to write down and I started to really focus, I came up with these memories. And actually, this is actually really important. The night before, I had this dream, and in the dream, I was in the neighborhood that I lived in when I was a kid, and it's actually a very similar neighborhood to the neighborhood I live in now. It's the same kind of housing development, same kind of townhouses. And in fact, if it wasn't for the context of a dream and everything that people are leaving these messages here. I have no idea how you do it. But in the dream, I was in between these houses, and the houses have they're townhouses that are like groups of 3 together, and then space in between, and then their backyards have fences, and the backyards between the backyards, there's common areas where your fences open up, and just kind of shared common areas where you can you just have extra space where you can park, or if you sometimes we rented a bounce house, we had it back there, whatever. So I was in this type of area at my at the house, and the reason why I realized it was the house I grew up in was because to one side of the area was this really large area where people can play sports, or just there were these two kids that were flying a kite, and at the townhouse that we lived in, that's what we had to the side of our townhouse was this really large open field that we would play. I don't even know how to fight in this game. What am I supposed to do? There's no tutorial. Oh my gosh, I'm getting crushed. Did I miss something? Anyway, so it very much looked like the house I grew up in, and at the back in the yard, and so just got wrecked. So what happens when you die in this game? Like, I'll watch this one. I came upon this hole in the ground, and in the hole there were 4 bouquets. And the 4 bouquets, they were like marigold flowers, which are golden colored flowers. But in the dream, there were 2 red ones and two red bouquets and 2 white bouquets. And I sat down next to them, and I felt like I was at a grave, and I was mourning the death of 4
Don't worry, Torrent.
different things.
Fortune is on his side. We found him here, after all.
Maybe I was supposed to die. Was I supposed to die? Like, it's part of the game.
One of his kind is sure to seek the Elden Ring. Even if it does violate the Golden Order.
Okay. That was freaking hilarious. I just came upon some huge monster, and it just crushed me in one move. I'm guessing I was supposed to die there. Okay. After I'm done playing this, I'm definitely going to open up a guide or something. I'm going to cheat a little bit for next time I play, because I have no idea what I'm doing. Like I said, I don't play these kind of games. Talk. He ain't talking. Take the plunge. Oh, yeah, you can go down there. I kind of want to see what's up here first. Oh, I wanted to bust these guys. So anyway, I'm sitting in front of this grave. It's it's like 4 bouquets, and while I'm sitting there, I feel really fat and uncomfortable. Like I can't sit properly, and so that's so I woke up, and that's why I wanted to sit and get my thoughts together. Like, what the heck was this dream? What happened at this house? What am I mourning? What died? What do these bouquets represent? That kind of thing. So I came up with 4 events that happened that I think contributed to this Transcrisis anxiety, and what's at the root of what I'm I'm suffering these anxiety events from, and and so I'm just sitting there and I'm journaling, and so I write these events down, and I realize that they are related to my loss of like the sense of safe friendships. I had a best friend that I gained in third grade at that time, and then when I started sixth grade, uh, he and I, like, we started middle school. We were at the same middle school, but we were in none of the same classes. And I remember, like, the first day of school, I saw him get off the bus, got on the bus, like, yo, what's up, man? Like, I don't want to say his name, but it's like, hey, what's up? And he's like, hey, Rachel, what's up? So we looked at each other's schedules. We weren't in the same classes. Like, oh, we're in the same classes. He was like, oh, okay, whatever. I would see at the end of school, whatever. So we saw each other at the end of school. The buses were in the same spots somehow. It didn't always happen. And so I was like, hey, so I wanted to, like, say something like, let's hang out, let's play Nintendo after school, whatever. That's the kind of stuff we used to do. But he was with like two girls, and he was just interested in getting on the bus and talking to them. So he's just like, oh, yeah, I'll talk to you later. And so he just got on the bus with them. And so so that year, like, we didn't really hang out much. And, I was like, man, that guy was my best friend. Like, we had a lot of stuff we did together in third and fourth, fifth grade. We can hang out a lot. Oh, I don't have those. I could have picked one, but I couldn't. I chose something else. Anyway, and then during that year, I I didn't really have many friends. I was trying to think about it. I didn't really have a lot of friends, and then that's when I first started to get bullied. I started to get picked on, and I remember, like, the names of the two kids I started to get picked on. So I wrote all this stuff down, um, and I realized, you know, ever since then, I've had a very cynical view about. I've had a very cynical view about friends. Shoot, what did I just do? I've always been like, friends come and go. They'll get it too attached to people. My wife will kind of, like, struggle because of issues she's had with friends or whatever, and I'm always like, just forget them. Like, friends don't really last. Whenever I had, opportunities to call a friend or hang out with a friend, uh, if I did try, I always felt like, they didn't really want to talk. I remember that happened with my college roommate that I lived with for like 2 years. Then I tried to call him a couple years later, and he just couldn't like, wait to get off the phone, And how do I open? Oh shoot! I keep tricking this thing. How do I use the lever? I don't know. And so it's just like, what? Whatever. Friends come and go. And I realized is for a long time I've had this underlying anxiety related to friendships and friends, and not really having like peace about having friends. And I have friends that have had friends. It's kind of some of the work I've been doing the last 2 weeks, like, just kind of thinking about how untrue some of this is, because I've started thinking, like, I don't really have any friends. I've always thought, like, maybe I don't have any good friends, but I actually have, like, a couple of good friends. I have one guy that he currently lives in Taiwan, and right now he's, like, visiting family in Jamaica, but So I haven't actually been near him. I haven't seen him in a very long time. But uh, it doesn't really take much. But whenever we get together, like we talk. Last time we talked on Zoom, we ended up talking from like 11:30 at night. It seems like a 12-hour time difference with Taiwan till oh, here we go, till 4:30 in the morning for me. We just kept talking because we are just, I mean, dude's my like best friend, man, and we've been friends since 2006. So no, 2000. I met him in 2005. So we've been friends for a really long time, and I've known him a year longer than my wife, and my wife is like my best friend. I met her back in 2006, and so like just to dispel like the anxiety, like I have the anxiety telling me that good friends aren't real, they don't stick around. All linked back to those childhood experiences, and it just wasn't true, you know. So that was like memory number one that I believe was the bouquet that was in the grave, it was something that I put in a grave that I buried, the idea that I could have like trustworthy friendships, or the idea that I could have friendships for a long time. Another event that I had happen at that age was we were evicted from the house that we lived in, and I remember coming home and from wherever we were, and there was just in school or whatever, my mom picked us up, and there was just a big pile of our stuff that was on the wall. On the sorry, I'm thinking about the game. A big pile of stuff that was out on the out on the lawn. And I think while we were at school, my mom and dad had been in the process of, what is the point of touching these bloodstains? I have no idea. They had been in the process of moving us because I don't know. You're a kid. You're that young. I mean, that was seventh grade, so that was when we ended up leaving the place. So I don't remember too much about it exactly. Like I don't know. I don't remember like our furniture being outside. That's the point. I just remember a big pile of stuff from our bedrooms, and I remember mainly my mom looking for her wedding ring, and us being asked to help look for her wedding. What are you in seventh grade? Like 12, 13, something like that, right? So still young. But I remember kind of having this feeling ever since then that I want to move. I want to move. I got when I even recently I've been like telling people that I know, like, I just want to leave Miami. I want to leave. I feel like it's time to go. I've been here so long. I moved back to South Florida after being around different places in '08. I was in Davie, but then I went to Pembroke Pines, and then I was in Hialeah, and then I moved to like West Kendall, getting married, and then we moved here when we got married after we had our baby, and now we've been here for like 6 years, and I just feel like I've been telling people like I'm ready to move. I was like looking to sell my house, or where we're gonna move. So looking at jobs, looking at Chicago, whatever. I just like I'm ready to move, and I realized that this like sense of security about having a home, like the home is gonna be there, and this is your place. This is your place to live. This is where your roots are. That kind of thing. That safety.
Oh yes.
I didn't have. And it was rooted in that day we got evicted.
Elden Ring? Of course you have. No shame in it. Unfortunately for you, however, you are maidenless. Without guidance, without the strength of runes, and without an invitation to the round table hold, you are fated, it seems, to die in obscurity.
Wow, sounds like an Indian pair talking about needing to be married. That's a lot of fun. No auntie. Okay. If you're Indian and you saw that, you got the joke. So yeah, that was bouquet number 2. The death of like safety and security in a home. Another one, and this was really a big. Another one, and this is like a really big one. Was the loss of like having this relationship with my dad that I thought was genuine and real. You know, my relationship with my dad. Oh, can I kill this goat? Was always predicated on us watching sports together. It's like that's how I bonded with him, right? All right, let's get this meat. Red Dead. Can I get the meat? Can I eat it? I mean, I didn't mean to just kill it. I meant to harvest. Okay, I'm not gonna do that again. I thought we could harvest the meat. I apologize for killing that animal. There's no use in doing that. I have no idea where I'm going. So we would bond watching sports, you know, watch the Dolphins play, the Dolphins and the Bills was the biggest rivalry, watch the Braves and watch baseball until the Marlins showed up, then we'd watch the Marlins play. We would still watch the Braves play, but it was, you know, it was baseball, it was football, it was watching pro wrestling, it was watching, you know, eventually the hockey would come in South Florida, the Florida Panthers. But that was later. That was, they were a little older, like 95. So it was like a lot of time I think we left the house, but that's how we bonded, right? We watched sports, and that was my relationship with my dad. There you go. So I remember one time he went to work, and he worked night shifts usually as a nurse, registered nurse. But one time he had to work a Sunday shift, and I remember he was leaving, and I told him I was going to keep track of the Dolphins' score. Maybe it was a Monday night game, but it could have been a Monday night game. Probably was a Monday night game. I don't know, whatever it was. It was a football game. And I remember him telling me, like, yeah, right, you're not going to watch it all the way. Because I guess, you know, you're a kid, you're going to watch a game by yourself. He was skeptical. And I remember I had a Dolphins clipboard, and I got it out. Oh, shoot, I do not want to fight that thing. I ain't ready for that noise. How do you crouch? Hide away from that. I ain't gonna fight that. Yo, Wallaby, whatever you are, you want to fight that thing? And he left, and I got my clipboard, and I watched that entire game, and I remember writing down the score as best as I could. I had to be like 8, you know, pretty young, and I remember writing Dolphins at the top, and whoever they were playing, I don't remember who they were playing, and I wrote the score. Anyway, this is how we bonded. I remember he was really impressed when he came home. I showed him the little scorecard, and he was really impressed that I actually watched it, and that I had all the times that they scored. I tried to keep score. I think I didn't know how to count that high, because it was like a high-scoring game. But anyway, that's how we bonded. And I recalled a night where one side of our house had these guest spots, and there was one night where these kids, teenagers probably, had a party. You know, they parked there and they were drinking beer or whatever. And I remember looking out the window and seeing them out there. That's why I knew what they were doing. And my dad, see, these graphics aren't that, they don't blow me away. I'm not blown away by these graphics. I mean, they're okay. Anyway. I remember my dad going out there, though, and talking to them, and then he looked like he was laughing. Get ready to get the stuff out. And then he seemed to, he joined their party. Like, he came back inside, he made us get in bed, us meaning my siblings and I, and he proceeded to like party with them. And I just remember like a lot of noise that I didn't understand, stuff that kind of scared me, like, because I just didn't know. Gotcha. I don't know what you were. If you were friendly or what. Some kind of zombie. Okay. But I just remember being in bed and people are coming in and out of the house. Seemed like they went into our backyard. The sound of something pouring. It was just really crazy. And you know, you're just a little kid, and you don't really know what's going on. Ooh, nice. And it was at that moment where I realized that my dad wasn't a good guy. I don't know if you've was watching, like, give a moment where you realize your parent isn't a good person. That was that moment for me. And that moment led to another where my mom eventually had to start working, and she really didn't need to. Right? My dad, at that point, was an RN, and he made plenty of money, but it was obvious that he was spending his money on things he shouldn't be spending his money on. And so she got a job working at Kmart. One night she had to work the night shift, and so she asked me, oh no, my dad wanted the car when they had one car, and so he was supposed to pick her up. And so we were watching TV like we normally were, watching sports. And because I knew that my dad wasn't the guy he was supposed to be, and he got into things that he wasn't supposed to get into, I started to tell when he was drinking and doing things that he shouldn't. And so, I don't know if I should go after this guy. Get away! Oh, yeah, I did that. And so that night, he was drunk, drank too much, and he asked me to wake him up at 10 so he could pick up my mom. Now, I remember being nervous about doing this, and so like around 9:53, I have this memory of looking at the clock and seeing, staring at the clock after that. shoot. Oh, man. I think I would have done that if I hadn't got squished the first 2 times. And staring at it until it turned 10 o'clock. And it turned 10, then I was trying to wake him up, and he just would not wake up. And then I remember him telling me, like, you know, just kind of mumbling. If you're trying to wake up someone who is, you know, drunk, they just kind of mumble, whatever, like they're not going to get up. And then I remember my mom finally calling. Like asking, you know, if my dad was going to get up or not. And I told her he was sleeping. I couldn't get him up. And so she was just annoyed, and she hung up the phone. And then she eventually showed up at the house, and she woke up, or she woke him up, and he was like, "Oh, how'd you get here?" Whatever. And she was mad and yelling. She explained that she started walking, or she got a ride, or she hitchhiked. I really don't remember the details then. I just remember a lot of yelling in our native language. Oh gosh. Oh gosh. Maybe I should look at the map. I should look at the control, how to use it. Yeah, died again. Anyway. And she decided to grab the keys, and she left. She left the house. It was like 11 o'clock at night. And I remember saying, like, "Mommy, don't go. Mommy, don't go." Again, I was like pretty young, probably 8 or 9, something like that. And but she went anyway. And I believe that was the first thing that happened that created that. Oh, HDR was. That's weird. That caused that. There we go. That anxiety attack on me. And so that was kind of like the root thing that was going on. And so that was bouquet number 3. And bouquet number 4, it's the eviction. It's a guard, left hand armament, right hand armament, switch item. Strong attack. Oh, there's a shorter attack. That's what it is. I'm always using this one, so that kind of. That could help. Anyway. And so, you know, doing my work, I don't remember where the 4th one was, but just doing all this work in one day helped me figure out what the events were. I spent the rest of last week working on these things, you know, kept writing about it. Crouching or something. I also decided to fast. It's something I decided to do because I believe that fasting helps you to spend more time in prayer. because while you're fasting, you know, you get hungry and you remember to pray, spin that little circle, that dodge dash. I was using square. Jump. There we go. That should help. That kind of thing. And so, as I was fasting and praying, writing stuff down, I was working on giving. I was working on kind of reassessing some of the things that happened back then. Talking to my wife a lot, thinking about, you know, if I needed to go to therapy or not. There's not a phone there. I started to feel some relief from what was going on, and you know, I was starting to connect like all those anxious things, all those things that I went through when I was a kid, to things that give me anxiety or that were giving me anxiety now in my present life. And I realized that I always thought I was like kind of a cool person, not very anxious, but I realized I did have a lot of anxiety, especially the time thing. I get really, I was like, if I'm late to something, I especially get anxious looking at the clock and seeing the minutes tick down. Or, you know, I already talked about the friends thing, and I talked about the house thing, the moving around thing. But I definitely like noticed that I get anxious a lot, but it always looks a lot like anger. And I talked about that before in a previous session, like how anxiety and anger are really close related, and depression can look that way too. And for a lot of people, depression is kind of inward, anxiety is kind of outward. Dude, just go live your life. Hey, how do you go through that? I don't want to fight him. Obviously, I don't have like the weapons for it. Anyway, I think I'm tired. My wife just got home. But yeah, that's what I've been kind of dealing with, especially the last month and a half, is all this anxiety that I didn't know I had, these attacks. And there's definitely a spiritual aspect to it, especially since like prayer was really like sending it away. And I mentioned earlier, like if we were talking about seeing a therapist, I wanted to kind of address it with a spiritual plan first, and then if that wasn't working, I definitely would see a therapist. And the spiritual plan is working. The fasting, the prayer. I had these moments where the attack kind of started, but then it immediately went away, and I realized, like, you know, these things that are out there that want me to keep feeling the way I felt like when I was back as a kid, they're not having the ability to do that anymore. And I had those dreams last night that kind of confirmed it for me. And so, but if I keep having these problems, or they come back, I'll definitely like explore, call some colleagues up or whatever, or just go see a therapist at a nearby. There's a counseling place nearby that I really like, so I'll go check them out. So I'll do that. But yeah, so right now, like I feel a lot better. Like I said, the attacks, there's been a couple times where they've like just at the moment, like I felt them start to come, but then just immediately they go. just as quickly as they start to come to go. And that hasn't been the pattern in the past. And so, in the dream I had last night, I had these 4 things, and I don't remember how it started, but these 4 things that I really cared about, they died. But as they were dead on the floor, it's like I realized I was dreaming, and I said, you know what? I'm dreaming. I can change this dream. I can make something happen here. And so, with my mind's power, I turned those 4 things into. I made them come back to life, and they turned into 4 dogs, like really beautiful big dogs. Which we saw like these really beautiful dogs at the beach last week. These chocolate lab pit bull mixes, which I'm totally in love with, but we have the rabbit, so we can't get a dog. But Mike been kind of like, oh man, I wish I could get that dog. So it's like these beautiful 4 dogs, and like in the dream now, I had like these 4 beautiful dogs follow me around instead of these 4 dead bouquets, right? And then something came in the dream and attacked me, but then these 4 dogs just like turned and attacked it and chased it away. And in the dream I was like, oh cool, oh, when they come back we'll hang out. I'm just gonna let them go deal with it. And it felt like it was symbolic, like the 4 things I felt died. It was family. The 4th thing was family. I could remember earlier. It was also at that house where I realized like family, extended family, wasn't really going to care about me or take care of me. It was something I had. My uncle said, he actually said like that we weren't his family. So my dad got a DUI, and my aunt was trying to convince him to help take care of us, you know, with some finances and things like that. The same way that she was, and he literally said, "They're not my family." And he's always had that attitude. And the aunt, she's always had the other opposite attitude. She's always taking care of us through everything. But at that age, I remember thinking, like, man, the people that I thought were my family, like my uncle, my cousins, whatever, you can't always rely on them. And so I always had like this anxiety that one day I was going to lose them, lose my cousins, lose my uncles, lose my brothers, lose my sister, whatever. Not by death or whatever, but just because they don't want to be my family anymore. And so that was the 4th thing. And so in last night's dream, like I feel like it was confirmation, like in the work I've done, that I've regained confidence that these things, I don't have to be worried about losing them, if they've lost or they're gone. That I can have confidence that these things are there, and that in some cases they're not there, in some cases I've lost them or whatever. And that uncle is probably gone. My dad is gone. Literally gone. He died. The guy finally goes, I was just hanging out collecting stuff. Just leave me alone. Oh. Anyway, but I have other family that I know I can rely on. I have other friends, like I mentioned earlier, I can rely on. I know I've got a home, you know, and the economy's crazy and the housing market's crazy, but we've got a place. And for the next year, you know, the price went up a little bit on a mortgage, taxes and stuff like that, but we can still afford it. You know, we've got jobs, so it's fine. You know, I don't have to worry about losing it. I don't have to force my family to move somewhere just because I feel like I can't trust being here anymore, you know? The thing that happened with my mom, like, yeah, that sucked. She was mad and she was angry, so I forgave her. And, it's a conversation we gotta have, I guess, at some point. You were like, hey mom, you know, I kind of remember this event that happened a long time ago where you got upset and you left. It really hurt, you know, that you left that night. I know you were angry, but I just want to tell you, like, I forgive you, and I know you're going to feel bad about it. I just want to let you know, your son, like, that night, I felt like it was my fault, and I know it's going to hurt her, so if anything, I want to wait till we're, like, together in person so we can have a conversation with her, because I don't want her to be burdened with that and carry it around with her for like, because I know how she is. She'll just like carry that inside of her for days. Before you get change of top. Ooh, I better not die to this vampire bat. Oh. Any benefit? Okay. Yeah. But otherwise, like, I do feel a lot better. And it helps to talk to people about this. I was able to talk to my wife about all this and process all things with her. I encourage you to talk to people about this kind of stuff. You've got anxiety, to process what's been going on, to journal, to write. Obviously, if you've got like an addictive personality, like I can have a cigar last week and not have it one again for like 3 months, 4 months. I don't think about it again. Or I can have a drink and it's the same way. I don't have that addictive quality in my life, and so that is one caveat that I'll say about people who like have problems with people who drink and that kind of thing. I understand all that because like my dad, he had all those problems where he could not stop drinking. That was a real issue with that. Oh, what was that? That guy was pushing the ball? What was that? Where'd he go? Oh! You little... Not little, that guy was big. Slow. Anyway, I'm gonna... I should probably go back and find that spot I saved at. I just did a bunch of stuff and just have to do it all again. So... just want to run into that guy on a freaking horse. Yeah, and again, it actually really surprised me that I had anxiety. I always knew about my struggle with depression. I've talked about that before. That was like a really long time ago, and eventually got over it. And that was, through fasting also, but not just through fasting. I had my therapy by getting my degree. Oh shit! That dude. Fasting was kind of like the last step for like some of the spiritual stuff that was going on there. And then, how do you run? Dash. So, what's this place for us? See this guy's. Oh, it must be up there.
tarnished. I can see it, but I can also see that you're not after my throat. Then why not purchase a little something? I am Kale, purveyor of fine goods.
Cool. So,
I am of a nomadic people, selling wares as I travel. The land has been tainted by madness since the shattering of the Elden Ring. It's only tarnished like yourself, who keep things from drying up entirely. Let's say you're a very welcome customer.
oh, cool. I wanted to get some kind of throwing weapon. Not daggers, though. It's just like, I don't know. Okay, before I buy something, I'm gonna check out. I gotta check out a guide, like figure out some stuff. Anyway, yeah. So didn't know about anxiety. I always thought I wasn't an anxious person. Thought I was just someone who struggled with depression. But after I lived with depression, that was it. But turns out, man, actually I have a lot of anxiety and reasons for it. PTSD, stuff like that. But I feel a lot better. Kind of, like money was causing me some stuff and other things. So, and so there were like links to certain present day causes to like the past. So kind of figured all that stuff out in the last 2 weeks, and I really like just was focusing on that. Like I fasted for 3 days. So this I wasn't doing anything except praying. My wife had some friends over to visit from California, and so the third day was Wednesday night. I was just like, they were here, we're having dinner. So you know what? I ordered the food. Didn't know if I'd eat it, but you know what? I think I've made some progress. I think I'm ready to eat and get through this. So I did, and it felt good, and so it's been kind of rapid changes for me. But like I said, I did some of the hard work first, and so I encourage you to talk to somebody. I personally am always available to talk to you, and I do that for free. I honestly don't want anything from anybody for anything that I want to do. And I know it, like the whole thing with Twitch is to just be anonymous, so you don't have to tell me that you saw me on Twitch. You just be like, oh, I saw your Instagram posts or something, and that's like interested in talking to you. So your website, which is thiledots.com. You can just grab the links through the Twitch page, which you already know about. So you can keep it all hidden, disclosed about how you found out about me. But, yeah, so I'm somebody you can talk to. Otherwise, you could just look up counseling services near you. If you're in Miami, look up Wellspring Miami. Got some really good counseling services. That's where I would go if I do end up needing some services. That's where I would get some help. They've got something called EMDR. It's a really good therapy service technique that I think would be something I would need to have done, which would be the reason why I would go to therapy. It's a very specific technique that you need professional help you with it to help move memories from one spot to another so that they stop affecting you a certain way. So that would be the reason why I'd go, and to stop dealing with the anxiety of the memory to keep coming back, which is part of PTSD. So yeah, I hope this was helpful. Again, the focus isn't really about playing the games on this channel. It's more about the talks, the conversation, and watching me be terrible at playing these games. Unless it's Hitman, which I pride myself on. So I'm going to go ahead and close up. Uh, and thank you for watching. And wow, an hour and a half, but didn't feel that long. So thanks again uh, for, for, for being there for me. And I hope I can be there for you the same way.